Hello, good afternoon and welcome to today's vlog for Wednesday the 10th of June. I hope everybody is well and enjoying the summer sunshine that we've had put upon us today. Right, subject I wanted to bring up. This is mainly going to be for any guys and girls that are new to the business or thinking about joining the business. And I call it succession planning. I'm sure there's lots of more funky phrases that are used in the world of finance and business today. What I mean by this, so back in the day in the 80s when I started working transport, we ran class 1 articulated vehicles, Scanias, and our company policy was to change those vehicles every 3 years. They came from Scania with a 3-year warranty. Scania did all the maintenance and all the repairs if anything came up, and that's how we operated. At the end of that 3 years, we either part exchanged it with Scania for a new vehicle, or we sold it privately to it was normally either one of the subcontractors or owner drivers that worked with us. That was a benefit for us because it stayed in the company livery, and for the companies and drivers that bought them, they had a vehicle that they knew was well maintained. Because we operated a one driver, one vehicle policy, they knew the inside of the vehicles had been well looked after by the drivers. So when I moved into taxis in 91, I operated the same policy with those. I rented for the first 5 or 6 weeks whilst I was waiting for my new taxi to arrive. That cost me, I think it was around the 28,000 mark on finance, and the actual payments were about £700 a month. So at the end of the 3 years I still owed a little bit on the finance, but I decided to chop the vehicle in and get a new one. Obviously the vehicle that I was getting rid of had value in it, so that was fine, and I just financed the balance. The balance payments dropped back down to something like about £560, and then what I did, I put to one side about £100 a month. So at the end of that second 3rd year period, and I bought my 3rd cab, I could part exchange the vehicle. There was value in the vehicle, and I had some cash to go towards it as well, bringing down my finance payments even more. And this carried on until I got to the stage where I was able to part exchange the vehicle, and I had enough cash to put down to take out no finance. That's how I did it, and that carried on all the way through till, oh, I can't remember the year now, I lose track of time, but we had a change of vehicle. We had the TXE came in, which is the vehicle you now see in London, which is a part hybrid, part petrol, part electric vehicle. I wasn't a fan, and I wasn't a fan of not knowing what certain things like the battery would cost to replace in the future. So I decided not to buy one. They were gone up in price to around about the 60,000 mark, which was a lot of money, and I would have to take some more finance out on that. And I decided to go back to renting, so I sold the taxi I had, took the cash and went back to renting, and that actually worked in my favour because a year or so later COVID turned up, killed the trade, and ultimately killed my love and enthusiasm for the taxi trade, and I came out. So after my time at Arsenal, when I came to be a van driver, I had to start thinking about the future and looking at finances and how I was going to do it. I was 69 and a half. My plan was to work till 67, till I get my state pension, and then fully retire then. So I had a period of 7.5, 8 years. There was no way that any van is probably going to last 8 years, the amount of mileage it gets done. So I knew somewhere, probably around 2027, I was going to need to change my vehicle, and that's been in my planning and my thoughts for quite a while. I've been thinking about it lately. I originally thought I'd be doing about 50,000 miles a year. That's probably going to be closer to 60. I'm currently on just short of 157,000 miles. So I've just had an interim service done this week. My next service, which will be at around the 172, 175,000 mark, will be a major service. I've had noted to me that I've got a small leak in the AdBlue injector, so there's going to be a cost there. I expect there will be some other bits and pieces that will be need doing on a major service, and I will need the wet belt changed for the second time. So all in all, that's going to cost me around a couple of £1,000 before VAT, which is fine. It's sort of, the money's put aside for, but obviously it's still a big lump of expense. So I'm starting to think, do I change my vehicle a little bit earlier than I planned? And this is what I mean by all succession planning. You need to think about these things, even if you don't carry it through. I've been looking at other vehicles. Lots of people tell me that the Sprinter and the Crafter is the best vehicle that you can get. I'm looking at brand new prices. I'm looking at used but nearly new vans. I've been looking at other vans. I do like, for some reason, the MAN van. A friend of mine runs MAN trucks, and he said they're a vastly improved vehicle now, certainly on the trucks. My problem with MAN, the only dealer there is in Essex is based down in Grays, which is over an hour away, and the nearest service agent is in Witham, which is about 45 minutes away. That really isn't any good for me. And I've got a similar situation with sort of Volkswagen and Mercedes when it comes to vans. There's not a great dealer network where I am, but there is a Ford's dealer closer to where I am. And when I bought my current van, which I bought from Bristol Street Motors in Orpington, it was 14,000 miles on it. It still had a couple of years Ford warranty on it, and Lookers in Colchester looked after it for those, sorry, it had a year left on it, my apologies. Looked after it for that first year because everything was under warranty. So I'm still thinking again, probably looking at Fords. I've had a look to see what's around at the moment. Nothing quite suits from a finance point of view, part exchanging this van and buying. So I think my decision is going to be, I will keep this van till probably March, April next year, and then chop it. But it's really important that you do think heavily about succession planning, and where you are in your life is also going to make a huge influence on any decisions you make. If you're younger, if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, your personal circumstances are key to any succession planning. You may have just been in a relationship and thinking about getting married. You may be married and thinking about starting a family. You may have a family and thinking about having a bigger family. You might have a house and thinking of buying a bigger house. These are monumental changes that will have an impact on you, both in terms financially and in terms of sort of how you work, which in turn can affect what you earn. This is all different to being an employee for a company and working that traditional 40-hour-odd week and earning 35, 40,000 a year salary, or whatever, you know, people earn these days in an office. For me, my personal circumstances are slightly different again. Because I'm now 62, I don't have a mortgage. I've taken a private pension that I had whilst I put into whilst I was a taxi driver. Kids I don't have to worry about, but I do have to worry about my health. And I'm type 2 diabetic, I've mentioned that. I've got some other ailments that come along with that. I've got kidney issues, nothing major, but they are a concern. And I've got to be careful as well that I don't lumber myself financially with something and then my health takes a turn for the worst. One of the downsides of being in your 60s, if you are in that age, I'm sure you'll find, and I know a couple of drivers have reached out to me that, you know, they've had some tragic personal circumstances, but in the last few years I think I've probably lost at least 10 people. Family, one of my best friends from school, and then just people that you know, might be within the community, might be people from work in the past, have all either had heart attacks, strokes, cancer, passed away, or been left that they're unable to work. And that can happen any time, and the chances of that happening are obviously far greater when you're in your 60s than they are when you're in your 30s and 40s. So I don't want to sort of then reach out and get myself a new van on heavy finance, well, not heavy finance but large finance, then something happens, I can't work, because you're never going to recover that money then trying to get rid of the van. So these are all things you really have to think about. But you know, I sometimes when I talk to drivers, I hear from drivers, they don't really think about this, and I just think it's so important, because buying a van is going to be, quite honestly, the biggest investment apart from a house that you're probably going to make, because it earns you money. Anyway, yeah, that's really what I wanted to say. I know it's waffled on a little bit, but I want to try and make it clear, and hopefully make it that people understand the point I'm putting across. Right, on to today. Yeah, it's been an okay day today. I'll do this fairly quickly because time is running on. I got a phone call yesterday afternoon, offered me a job for this morning. Probably my favourite shipper that I work for. He just said, look, I've got a job in the morning. It's going from Clacton-on-Sea at 7:45. They're going to come in a little bit earlier because they need to get this away. It's going to Harwich, 14 miles away, going to the docks in Harwich. Say large van, 14 miles. It's one long pallet, 70 kilos, £60. Absolutely bang, no problem. Yep, I'll get that covered for you. On site this morning, 7:40, away at 7:50. Round to the dock. It's always a bit of a pain, but we got it done, and I was empty at 8:55. Made my way into Colchester, towards Colchester on the A120 to see what came up. Parked up about 20 past 9. Got myself a coffee. Wasn't anything coming up in Colchester, but a job appeared from Braintree at 11 o'clock, and that was going to Bedford. Now, I was in two minds because it was 11 o'clock, but there wasn't a lot of work showing, or wasn't any work showing in Colchester. So I put a price on it. It's for a large van, 62 miles. I put a price of £90 on it. That's £1.45 a mile. Got a phone call straight away. And the guy, I think many of you have done this work, it's medical equipment tends to go from one warehouse to another. I think the clue of the company you're picking up from is in what the goods are. But anyway, he said to me, look, it's booked for 11, but if you want to put your head in the door earlier, there's a fair chance it might be ready because there's two vans involved. You're doing one, there's another one on its way. So I finished my coffee, left there about 9:40, got on site at 10 past 10, and the goods were ready. He said, yeah, we'll get you loaded straight away. Off site 10:25, made my way over to Bedford, got there 11:55, empty straight away at 12 o'clock. Got the stuff off. They're really good at these warehouses, they really help and get the stuff on and off really quickly. Time to listen to Prime Minister's question time and have my lunch, which I did. 20 past 12, I'm going to go for a walk around the industrial estate. Just when I was leaving, I think the other van, or when I was leaving Braintree, the other van turned up, I think. By the time I finished my lunch, he went past me to go and deliver. By the time I come back for a walk, he was actually parked in front of me. Don't know who he was, but anyway, he was parked in front of me. So 12:45, he started looking for work. There was some small jobs coming up with very low prices on it, or if you like, I'm putting fairly low prices on. There was a job, for example, from Bedford going to Cambridge, large van, 25 miles, put £60 on it, didn't get it, kept reposted, kept getting reposted, kept getting reposted. Got to 2 o'clock and I decided I'm going to leave, make my way back down the A14 towards home and see if I could get anything. The van that did the other job, he was still in front of me. By this time when I went past, the driver had fallen sound asleep across the seats, so I left him there. Just coming past Cambridge, and a job came up from Bury St Edmunds for between 3 and 4 o'clock, so I was going to be there around about 3:30, and that's for a large van, 37 miles going to Swaffham. and I put a price of £70 on it. It's a pallet weighing a tonne of animal feed. So I'm literally on my way to do that now. I've rang the farmer to tell him I'll be there about 5 o'clock, and he's fine with that. He will be there to meet me at the farm. So 3 decent jobs, all look like they're not going to be any aggravation. That's a £60, a £90 and a £70. 220 for the day. I'll be emptying Swaffham just after 5. I should be home for somewhere around about 6:15, 6:30. I'm very happy with that, and I will start looking for a job for tomorrow in the very near future. So anyway, that's it. Probably the longest one I've ever done, 15 minutes. Apologise. Have a lovely evening all, and take care, and we'll talk tomorrow. All the best. Cheers. Paul.